Hello, iLRN. I'm Jillian Dabrowski. I'm an online instructional designer from the University of Waterloo, located in Ontario, Canada. And I've been monitoring the emergence of AR/VR for the past 4 years and undertook a research project with Amna Idre and Mark Morton to investigate this new wave of technologies collectively called extended reality, XR for short, as you know, and includes AR and VR. We investigated the landscape of XR in higher education, and we interviewed 22 instructors to find out their experiences with implementing XR in the classroom within their own discipline. We wanted to understand instructors' perceptions of XR for teaching and learning, in hopes of learning what support they need to advance in the area. This presentation offers broad recommendations for how higher ed can support instructors to advance their capability with extended reality technologies. Special thanks to the D2L Innovation Guild for funding this research project. With my background in online learning, I started looking at immersive tech to understand if it could improve aspects of online learning like connection and discussion. Online seminar courses have relied on text discussion for the past 20 years. Could a VR classroom, like the one shown on the right, help virtual communication? I discovered the answer is yes. There's great promise for enhancing communication and connection with immersive tech through eye contact and spatial hearing and the feeling the presence of other people digitally. I started my investigation to see if XR could help online learning, but quickly realized XR could have a great societal impact. According to the Gartner's hype cycle, AR and VR are following in the steps of mature platforms and could someday become mature platforms as well. This tech is rapidly advancing and could be a major digital shift, like the shift from print to desktop publishing. It's thought to be part of the next iteration of the internet, next generation communication, the dot-com era of our time, Web 3.0. Always this wave is being described. AR and VR is developing with other important societal tech, like blockchain, big data, and AI, for example. These technologies are collectively advancing towards the future. The concept of the metaverse, as you know, is likened to the term the internet, and it's starting to converge some of this future tech and an important mechanism for a digital shift towards spatial computing. Anything you can do on the internet is planned to be done immersively in the metaverse. Governments are starting to pursue metaverse initiatives. South Korea, China, and US have big plans for immersive tech. And so they should when you consider the predictions of impact on society and jobs as more people and businesses move into this space. Let's take a quick glimpse at how two institutions in Ontario, Canada are entering into building capacity with this wave of technology. The examples are both virtual VR worlds, but as you know, there is a spectrum and ecosystem of different tools and experiences. Example 1 is a Georgian College virtual world where students use VR headsets to meet with Indigenous elders and students. Students feel like they're actually present in the digital space with the elders and other students. Why would an institution deploy an initiative like this? This example shows Georgian College's commitment towards an important Canadian societal initiative like reconciliation, and a commitment toward learning about a new wave of important societal technology. It's also a step towards equipping students to navigate the tech and critically reflect on it. Here's another example of an Ontario institution using a simulated world for teaching and learning. Students conduct moot trials in a virtual world instead of in real life. Why would a law faculty invest in virtual worlds? The answer is an important takeaway of this presentation. Look at the student quote and the prediction that virtual worlds are the websites of the future and a technical competence that is going to be required for future lawyers. The real learning gift Ottawa provides here for students goes beyond experiencing a moot trial. The real value here is introducing students to the capability and potential of this technology itself. And that's important to build capacity and fluency, help students critically reflect, and prepare students for these societal technologies as they emerge. The previous examples reinforce the value of investigating XR to prepare students for a rapidly advancing wave of tech. Now let's look at what we heard from instructors who implemented XR in the classroom. We wanted to understand their perceptions about bringing these technologies into their particular disciplines. Is there value in exploring XR for teaching and learning? What kinds of challenges did instructors face navigating this technology? And ultimately, how can an institution support instructors? We carried out 22 semi-structured interviews with educators across 3 institutions, educators who had implemented XR technologies in the classroom. All 22 instructors reported on the pedagogical potential of these technologies within their discipline. There is something to these new mediums that is worth investigating. Equitable access to learning for mobility was another theme that emerged as an opportunity. To be clear, 3D XR technologies have the same accessibility considerations as current 2D tech, but instructors reported people with physical disabilities could potentially benefit from immersive experiences. The XR accessibility community is impressively bringing accessibility to the forefront of immersive technology. Here's a great resource for learning more about XR accessibility. Instructors also experienced challenges introducing XR into the classroom. They reported design and implementation challenges, technical challenges, time and cost were issues, there were student issues. Let's take a quick look at the opportunities and challenges reported. As mentioned, there was consensus on the pedagogical potential of XR across the disciplines. Instructors reported increased student engagement, increased ability, and accelerated learning ability with complex material, better retention, and the ability to simulate experience are what instructors saw with their students. The pedagogical benefits instructors reported are consistent with the literature on benefits of XR, like the recent review referenced on this slide. Let's look closer at the challenges now. It was challenging for instructors to adapt existing content to the new extended reality format. There were limited design resources available to help with moving into the new format, like exemplars, training, or best practices, especially with complex scenarios. And there weren't readily available tools for evaluating the efficacy of the experiences. It all required a lot of venturing out on their own, and this would be time-consuming. Along with the lack of design guidance, there was a lack of technological guidance, obscure sources of information, and lots of time for troubleshooting. Nothing was straightforward. Lots of time was required for troubleshooting and finding useful information. There were high costs for headsets and software, as well as additional personnel to help figure out the implementation and deployment of the technologies. Navigating the immersive tech ecosystem, again, is time-consuming. Instructors hinted at the need for centralized support to help speed up the process. Centralized support could also help with things that instructors didn't mention, like software maintenance and support, student passwords, things like data collection, privacy, security, sustainability, and scalability. Student challenges. Instructors reported there was a student learning curve for getting familiar with the tech and recommended having a standard brief and debrief tool around the different technologies. They also suggested that if asking students to use their own device, like a cell phone, to access an experience, you can't guarantee it'll work across every student's device. Another tip from instructors, some students reported appreciating high fidelity rather than low fidelity experiences, and this would be a really good future research question for someone to explore. Overall, instructors cautioned to avoid creating a situation with the technology where students might focus more on the tech than on the actual learning material itself. Okay, let's bring this all together. We saw 2 examples of how institutions are starting to advance with XR and why an institution would benefit from pursuing XR initiatives. We heard consensus from 22 instructors on the opportunities for immersive technologies. And we've also heard the challenges they faced navigating this great big ecosystem of technology. If we want to get into this landscape in a bigger way, what can we do? The research referenced on this slide reinforces and draws out a succinct list of considerations for an institution wanting to advance immersive tech investigation and application. Training, infrastructure, facilities, hardware, software, and staff resources are all considerations for expanding in extended reality. Institutional collaboration will be key. At Waterloo, for example, we have a community of practice group for instructors, a Getting Started XR website, and a Teams channel for sharing resources. Institutional support for research on the efficacy of XR will also be key, because we need to understand the learning benefits of particular immersive technologies within each discipline. There's a great book by Erica Southgate listed here that reinforces the need to understand how to leverage the tech for the signature ways your subject is taught. We should also have a closer look at what's happening in industry. These techs are creating a wave of new skills and jobs, for example. And lastly, it'll be important to collect more resources for training, exemplars, and reuse. A few final questions and thoughts here. Should we go ahead and fit the entire campus with VR headsets? Definitely not. This tech is morphing and changing rapidly. The tech is a moving target. Should we invest in teaching students about this technology? Definitely. Should we go ahead and set up a lab or two for further investigation? Great idea. Should we explore virtual worlds? Very wise at this point in time. Should we look for opportunities that will give us the best return on investment with this technology, like repeated training situations, field trips, or advancing societal or strategic initiatives? Great ideas. Thank you for listening. I'm really excited to hear your thoughts and your questions about how we can advance extended reality in higher education.